Proud of You is a parenting advice podcast and support group for dads hosted by two goofy dads. They are not pediatricians, nutritionists, OBGYNs, psychologists, nor are they authorities on parenting. They're just two dinguses trying to figure it all out. Their advice should not be taken as expert information. Parenting looks different for everyone, and there's no wrong way to be a dad. Frankly, if you're taking the time to listen to a podcast about it, you're already doing a great job. And these dads are proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Welcome back. I'm Derek Mata.
And I'm Andrew Goody, and we are proud of you. So Derek, I heard something this week, and it punched me in the gut, and I'm curious to get your take on it, because you have a few more years of dad experience under your belt than I have. Somebody told me parenting doesn't get easier. Parents just stop being so hard on themselves.
That's an interesting take. No, it because we've talked about it a couple of times. Like, it doesn't get easier because every kid is different.
Yeah, well, in every phase, like the super hard phase will pass, and it'll be replaced by another super hard phase. It's going to be different. It's going to be a change, but it's not going to necessarily be easier.
I think a lot of it comes down to you're like, you know what? I'm just not going to stress about that thing anymore. And that's a conversation like April and I have all the time, because like, we'll take the most simple thing that I know probably a lot of parents have to deal with, like have problems with, fucking nap time. You want your kid to take a damn nap. You know your kid needs a damn nap, and you're doing everything to make sure your kid takes that fucking nap. I'm checking my desk. And then eventually you're just like, I'm not going to worry about it. Like, my kid will do what they need to do. Their body will tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So
well, that's
yes, I would agree with that statement. You're like, you as a parent, just kind of like not worrying about this shit anymore. Well, to an extent.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not like you're giving up, right? Like, you still care about your kids. I think there's a level of acceptance that comes with time, where you realize that, like, not everything, and like, it's kind of the underlying theme of this podcast, right? Which is why like it clicked for me, is like, not everything has to be perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect, right? And like, the thing that stresses out a lot of new parents, and frankly stresses me out still, like, it's still something I'm trying to shake, is that drive to do things right? Like, I have to do it the right way, or I have to do it perfect. It has to go exactly the way that I'm planning for it. And like, the best advice that I've ever gotten as a parent is like, just let it go. Just go with the flow. Just let things happen the way they happen, because if you have expectations, the only person that's going to be let down is you. Like, those expectations are going to change.
Exactly. Like, your kid just like, your kid doesn't know any better. Like,
yeah,
they're just like, hey, you kind of want me to do this, but like, I kind of don't want to do this. So I'm going to do what I want because I'm a child, and that's how my life works. So like, yeah, you're going to get stressed. You're going to you can't see in the camera. You're going to get these fucking gray hairs and shit. And like, you're going to get wrinkles or fucking, I don't know, whatever, insert stressor fucking related thing here. And it doesn't matter, especially once you have multiple children. Like, I can tell you, Noah and Ivy, as close as they are in age, are two completely different children. What works for one doesn't work for the other. There are things that do work for both of them, but that's a Christmas fucking miracle if that actually happens.
Yeah. Well, that's like, so like, we're potty training right now, and Emily and I had a discussion about it, because there's so many people who are just like, you gotta go cold turkey, right? Like, you get rid of every diaper that you own, and like, they're gonna pee on the floor, and it's just gonna happen for a little while, and then like, they'll be potty trained. And I'm like, that's not my kid, dude. Like, that's not my vibe. That's not her. Like, that's just, no, absolutely not. And so like, we're offering her like the first thing that we do when we wake up, because usually the first thing that I do, I roll out of bed, I go take a piss, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what your
we
body
all do.
does, because you've been asleep for 8 hours, right? Like, I mean, ideally,
Yeah. In a perfect world.
in a perfect world, I don't know how many dads out there are actually getting 8 hours.
Any
but
parents, we're not even like dads and like parents in general. 8 hours of straight sleep,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Yeah, man. But like, I get up, and so like, whether it's Emily or me or both of us, whoever wakes up first is like, hey, like, I'm gonna go potty. Do you want to go potty? Like, because usually one of us is waking up because Lana's up, right? Like, she wakes up before we do, and so it's like, hey, I'm gonna go potty. Do you want to go? And like, we give her the opportunity, and sometimes she'll go and sit on the potty and nothing happens, and sometimes she'll go and actually go to the bathroom, and sometimes she doesn't want to go at all. And like, just being cool with any of those outcomes has made the process so much better for all three of us than trying to be like, no, this has to happen. Like, there's no timeline, man. Like, there's no hard cut on like when we need her to be potty trained. She'll figure it out when she figures it out. And until then, like, we've been rocking diapers for 2 years now. We'll go and figure it out when we figure it out, you know?
No, which I can see that side of it. I think it's also like you, and I can't say I speak from experience, but like I'm trying to say my mindset and like project it. I think the reason parents are like, we need to do this now, we need to do it in a week. You know, you might have seen those TikToks, whatever. Like, I trained my 6-month-old to be potty trained or whatever. Like, because you want that feeling of accomplishment to brag to your friends that, hey, I trained my 6-month-old. Hey, my kid only took 3 days to potty train. Like, it is, again, it's different for every kid. Noah's been potty trained for so long, I couldn't tell you how long it took. Ivy, like, she is potty trained for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, now we're have to hit that next step. Like, hey, we got to do overnight, or we got to do nap time potty training. We got to do overnight potty training. And like, at what point are we just like letting it go?
Yeah.
Kids will do what kids will do.
Yeah, and like you mentioned naps, right? And that's something that, because Alana's at that like 2.5 years, and I've heard this, and it's definitely been true for us. I've heard it from other people that like kids tend to like start to drop their naps, but not like fully drop their naps right around 2 years. And like a lot of the time they'll start napping again at like 4 to 5, depending on the kid, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Point being, she started like, sometimes she takes a nap and sometimes she doesn't. So around like 12:30 or 1, when she would normally nap, we'll take her to the bedroom and say like, hey, we're going to lay down. We're going to relax. And if you're not sleepy, that's okay. But we're going to try to rest for a little bit. And if you fall asleep, great. And if you don't fall asleep, we'll go right back out to the living room and keep watching Bluey or playing with blocks or whatever we were doing, right? And like taking that approach instead of being like, fucking nap is such a, like, it relieves so much stress, man. Like,
I'm that dad. Like, it is 1:30, 2 o'clock. Like, you're in there to take a nap, because for one, like, my kids like to get up at 6:30, and they're like, hey, now we're gonna start playing. Like, no, that's not how we're fucking doing this. So like, you need a nap, because also during nap time is when we can do other things. You know, let's say, you know, April wants to paint the wall. You can't be painting the wall while the kids are running around. Hey, I need to go, you know, let's say I'm working from home and April's working elsewhere. I need that time to be able to go outside and take care of an outdoor chore, an outdoor task. Like, hey, so this nap time is not only good for you, which I know you need because you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but it's beneficial to me, beneficial to the household, kind of thing. And so like, I do stress about nap time a lot. Like, I told you it's nap time, you fucker, because
yeah.
I was that kid. Like, I hated sleep, and now I'm like, give me 10 minutes, please. Let me lay down with silence.
Yeah. Well, it's like the advice that everybody gives you when you have an infant, right? Is like, sleep when the baby sleeps. And it's like, yeah, totally. And just do laundry when the baby does laundry, right? Like, because I still have to keep my house in check. Right, like, I have laundry and dishes and everything else in my household piling up. I can't sleep while the baby sleeps. Like, yeah, exactly. That's my break to go do adult things. That's my break from toddler time, man.
And so that might be like, you know, as a dad in that time period where both of my children, both of my small children, don't want to nap, like, I think that's probably the hardest part. Is that's either my do something time or that's my relaxation time. I do you know, self care time, whatever. Because I do know some people use that for self care time. Whether it's take a shower, you know, sit on their phone for an hour uninterrupted, have some fucking snacks that you don't have to share with your children.
Eat with two hands. Yeah.
Yes. Um, I think it's just like knowing that is going to have to be given up soon, and I'm not ready for that. So I'm still going to stress about it. I know I shouldn't, but I'm still going to, because
Yeah.
they're that selfish part of me. We're all selfish as people. Like we do want to look out for ourselves, but
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to some extent, right?
yeah,
Because, like, I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself to be able to take care of your kid. That's parenting 101.
yeah. So and that might be my problem. So, you know, I am that dad who's like, it's nap time. I told you to sleep. I'm very very follow the rules, but you know that is, we've discussed this. That's what makes me different than you. Is like, I say, you do.
Yeah. No, and I think the other flip side of that, like, parenting doesn't get easier. Parents just get easier or stop being hard on themselves. Like, I think one of the big things for me that I still struggle with, and I've gotten a lot better at it. And frankly, I think out the bat, I was better at it than Emily. And like, babe, if you're watching, no offense, it's just like personality wise, everybody's a little bit different. Is like viewing your child not doing things exactly the way that you think that they should go as a personal failure, right? Like, if Noah doesn't take a nap, it's your fault, right? That's not true. Like, that's not.
I didn't
It's
wear him
nothing.
out enough.
It's nothing. Yeah, but that's the loop that you get stuck in, right? Is like, oh, I should have worn him out more so that he took a nap. I should have taught them more about bodily autonomy so that they would be more into potty training or like whatever. Like, I should have like.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not teaching bodily autonomy to my 2 and 3 year old. Or hold on,
I
no,
sure am, man.
two and 4. That's what it is.
Yeah. But like something that Emily had, like when we were starting solids with Alana, right, when she was transitioning to like eating actual food. One of the things that a lot of like pediatricians recommend to people online is like, well, just like stop breastfeeding so much, and they'll be hungry and then they'll eat. And Emily was like, but she wants to nurse and I want to nurse her. Like, why would I just stop? Like, but then it became a thing, right? Where it was like, oh, like I made dinner and Alana didn't eat any of it. And Emily would like beat herself up. Like, oh man, like I shouldn't have nursed her. Like we did booby like pretty soon before we did, before dinner. Like, this is my fault. And I was like, it's no one's fault. There is no fault in like, I dropped the baby. That's my fault.
Like, that's a extreme example, but I get it.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like the little stuff. Like, there's no fault in whether the baby took a nap or not. There's no fault in the baby woke up early. Like, that's stuff that's just going to happen, and you need to just let that brush off and not internalize it, because you'll just stress yourself into an early grave, man.
Yeah, because like I will say that it's my mind always goes to, and you know, my biggest thing is like nap time or meal times. Like, man, I shouldn't have let them have so many snacks, but like I know they're eating the snacks, so they're not going to eat their lunch. But like, why did I let them do that? Like, oh, I'm an idiot. Or why didn't I pull out the bouncy house so they can jump on it before nap time, and then they're tired, and now I'm angry because they're not napping, and they're upset because I'm angry because they're not napping. Like, so it's a struggle. I will say nap time is the hardest thing. The food, the eating has gotten better, but that was a fight a couple months ago.
Yeah. Well, and it just, I mean, I feel like it progresses through phases, right? Like, I'm only 2.5 years deep, but I'm sure this extends to like, if your kid gets a bad grade on their homework, like blaming yourself for not helping them study or whatever, you know, like I don't have that hands-on experience, but I can see where that spiral of blame would continue to
see that.
impact you, you know?
I'm saying I would say like in our household, like, hey, why is your grade bad? Like, oh, well, did you bring it to us that you're having an issue? No, that's on you. Like, we don't point fingers, but we're like, hey, accept blame where blame is where it needs to be. Like,
Yeah, but I could see, so, and I'm not to be clear, I'm not saying that this has happened, but I could see a situation where, like, you know, say for example, Lucas is having a hard time in his math class, and he comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm having a hard time with this," and you're like, "Hey, like, I'll definitely help you out with that. You know, I'm working right now. Let me, you know, clear some time in my evening, and we'll work through it together." And then life happens, and you don't end up doing that, and then he gets a bad grade on the thing, and like, that is kind of on you, right? Like,
yeah,
that,
and then
again,
at that point,
accepting the criticism where it is, but like, again, you kind of have to let that go of like, hey, like, I'll do better next time. I will, like, when I say that I'm going to set time aside for, and that's something that I try to really take ownership of, is like, if I tell Alana that we're going to do something later, like, I will move fucking hell and high water to make sure that we do that thing later because I told her that we were going to. But sometimes life happens and I forget about a thing, or I have genuinely more important stuff that I need to take care of, even then something like math homework. Like, I've got a blown breaker that I've got to deal with. Like, there's stuff that happens in life, you know?
and okay, so I'll admit that I'm also guilty of that because, like you said, life happens. Hey, yeah, and whatever kid wants something, needs something. Hey, you know, as soon as I'm done with this, give me a minute. I'm currently busy, and then I never get to it because, hey, this thing took longer than this blown breaker took longer to replace than I anticipated. Oh, now it's dinner time, so now I need to make dinner for the family. Oh, now it's bath time, so now I gotta bathe you. And they're like, hey, you said we could do. Oh, hey, you said you were gonna play Magic with me, or you take me to the fucking the card store. And I'm like, I apologize. I'm like, I am so sorry. I know I said I would. Obviously, these are not the words I use. Like, I would apologize. Like, hey, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. I'll do. You know, we'll go to the card store tomorrow, or you know, depending on the day. Or hey, you know, we'll pull out the bouncy house because I did say that we could do that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it does suck when you let your children down, especially because like it's I'll say it's different with teenagers than it is with toddlers. Teenagers kind of like brush it off, whatever. They're going to go do whatever the hell. They're going to talk to their friends, play their Xbox. Toddlers don't let you forget, and they will make you feel bad about it. And then you just like feel worse. Like, shit, like you called me out, and you had the puppy dog eyes and the pouty face.
Dude, Alana's got the memory of an elephant, man. Like,
these two do too.
She'll bring up like, Dada didn't go park, and I was like, that's 2 months ago that we said we were going to go to the park, and I didn't do that. Oh my god, how do you still? And like, I think that's why people, like, parents are so hard on themselves, right? It's because, like, frankly, like, toddlers are hard on us. So,
yeah, like, I was like, I remember.
Yeah, I remember. You said we were gonna go see a pony when we were in California 2 years ago when I was first born.
You're like, damn.
Yeah.
No, and you just like, and then you're just like, you're impressed, but you feel bad because they remember.
Yeah.
You're like,
no,
where the fuck am I gonna find a pony?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I love kids.
No, I do too. And that's the thing. Like, I think it's so important to remember that just like everything is out of love, right? Like, if your kid is sad that you didn't follow through on a thing, like, remember that, hang on to it, but like, don't blame yourself, because life happens and things are going to come up, and you're gonna miss stuff, and just letting yourself have that grace of it being okay to mess up is such an important part of being a good parent. And I think it sets a really good example for your kid, right? Because like, if you have those conversations, right, of like, hey, like, I said that I was going to get the bouncy house out and we never did, and I'm really sorry about that. Let's get it out now to like make up for that. That shows your kids like it's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for like, dad fucks up it's okay for me to fuck up, says your toddler.
My toddlers would.
Yeah, fair enough. But like, you know, like it shows them like, oh, it's okay. Like dad is, you know, being easy on himself, the alternative to being hard on yourself, right? Like dad is giving himself the grace and giving himself the space to be a human and to make mistakes and to move on like appropriately. I can do that too. And that way when your kid messes up, it's not the end of the world, right? Because I think those like toddler meltdowns a lot of the time happen when expectations aren't met, right?
Mm-hmm.
The classic toddler meltdown is, I wanted this and I didn't get it, cry. Right? Like that's what it really breaks down to. Whereas like if they can see like, oh, like dad wanted me to take a nap and I didn't, and dad didn't blame himself, it's not his fault, and that's okay. I mean, obviously that's a very enlightened opinion for a 2-year-old to have. But I think setting that example shows them then, hey, I wanted to go to the park this evening, but dad said it's too hot because we live in Arizona, so we can't go to the park tonight, and that's okay. Like your kids can kind of extrapolate that adaptation and that acceptance of loss in planning.
I think, you know, to simplify it
to some extent
for some of our listeners, viewers, or whatever, like I think it would just like allow them to realize like if they make a mistake, they can verbalize it better. Like, hey,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I will either fix the problem or I won't do it again. Because like, hey, I made a mistake. I'm gonna fix it. Hey, they're gonna say the same thing. I'm sorry. Let me do XYZ. Let me clean up. Like, can I help you clean up a mess I made or whatever? Which I'll say both of my kids are really good at that. You know, both of my small kids, like they have learned that, hey, you know, it's okay to have spilt their water on the floor. They go and grab a towel and they clean it, or they try to clean it up. So
usually make more of a mess than the actual spill was, but
we don't let them know that.
There.
Yes, as long as they're like, I'm sorry. Like Ivy is the best at it. She'll go find whatever random thing that will soak up water off the floor, and they're like, I'm not even mad. Like I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, Alana tried to clean up apple juice with my shirt the other day, and I was not stoked about that, but I thought it was really sweet that she was trying.
Like, you gonna get the mop too, or
yeah? No, it's cool. Data fix.
Again, kids are so funny.
Yeah. No, and I think that's you're right, and you said it very well. Like it helps them vocalize. It teaches them how to vocalize. Like, hey, I'm sorry. It's one of the things like one of the pieces of advice that I got when Emily was pregnant, and I was just asking everyone who I knew who had kids, like, hey, what's a good thing to do? One of the big things that I heard from dads specifically was like, tell your kids that you love them, because like, 1, they need to hear it. 2, you need to say it. And 3, the more you say it, the more they'll say it back, and that feels really good.
Let me tell you how many times like Noah will just tell me that. Noah or Ivy, more Noah, because like he's more vocal than she is.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, come here, just like let me hug you. I love this.
Yeah. And Alana is going through, I almost said Emily because it's also true, but Alana is going through a phase right now where, and I hope it's not a phase. I hope this stays forever, but I'm being realistic and calling it a phase. Where like she's big into goodbyes. So anytime we leave, and I don't mean like I leave the house because I'm going out for a few hours. I mean like I go from the living room into my office, or I go into the kitchen to make dinner. Like if we are separated by more than 10 feet, she wants to hug me, give me a kiss on the cheek, and say goodbye, I love you, Dada, anywhere I go. And like goes also for Emily, like she's so big into like goodbyes right now that goodbye has extended to leaving the room. But it's the sweetest thing, and I'm just like living for it because I'm like, oh, I love you too, baby. Yeah. Oh, goodbye. Like, I'll be back in 3 seconds. I'm refilling my water from the refrigerator, but yeah, I love you. Bye.
You know what? I'd take it. I would take it.
Yeah, no, it's great, man.
I'm smiling because like I'm thinking about the shit that Noah does too. Like lately, he's very loving on his daddy, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. Yeah, those dad love phases are great because the dad love phases are interrupted by the no mama do it phases. And so I'll take the I love dada any day of the week over no mama do it.
Yeah. Or can I carry you? No, mom.
No mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then mom is like, no, dad carry you. I don't want to carry you anywhere.
Like,
I'm tired.
Ivy's like, no.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
Oh, to be young and hate your father.
Don't say that. But no, I mean, it was, this is a good topic though, because again, the easier we are on ourselves, the easier it is to parent. Like having have multiple children, like I didn't loosen up until Ivy, until the fourth one. Yeah, I only have 4 kids. I only have 4 of my own, but I have 5 children.
Yeah.
I didn't loosen up until Ivy. I am still hard on my children, but because, that generational curse kind of thing, raising my kids the way I was raised, obviously not a good thing, different episode.
We're all working through our own shit.
Exactly. So, I'm hard-headed, so that's probably why it took me 4 kids to 4/5, depending on what the situation is, to finally loosen up and realize, hey, I don't have control of everything. I still want to control everything. I don't have control of everything.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We really appreciate everybody who joins and watches these videos on YouTube or listens to the podcast wherever you're listening to this. We're trying to spread the word and get the word out there about this show. If you have a moment, our social media links are down below. If you can like us on Instagram, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, review us on whatever podcast forum, whatever you call a podcatcher you're listening to us on. Just throw some positivity our way. The more upvotes we get in any forum, the better this content does in the algorithm, and that helps us reach more and more dads who are also blaming themselves for their kids not taking naps
or eating dinner or lunch
or
food
or eating dinner because they gave them a cheese stick and therefore they won't eat their dinner. Until next week, I'm Andrew Goody.
And I'm Derek Mata.
And we are proud of you.